Have you ever gone to bed feeling mostly fine, a little tired, and told yourself it was just getting older? What if that fatigue is not age at all, but a warning your kidneys are struggling while you sleep? I am Dr. Richard Hale, and you need to hear this clearly. For many Americans over 50, kidney decline does not start with pain, it starts with silence. Creatinine can rise overnight, inflammation can linger, and your kidneys can work under stress without obvious alarms. That is why this is so dangerous. You can feel normal and still be losing filtration capacity. One heavy late dinner, too much protein, at the wrong hour, or not enough fluids can push your system into strain night after night until a routine blood test delivers a shock. But here is the hopeful truth. Nighttime is also your best window for recovery. While you rest, your kidneys are meant to reset filtration and repair microscopic damage. The real problem is not that kidneys cannot recover, it is that most people accidentally sabotage this repair window every evening. So let me ask you something. What if one simple choice before bed could help your kidneys do what they were designed to do? What if familiar fruits used at the right time and prepared the right way could support overnight filtration and help manage creatinine while you sleep? In this video, I will walk you through 6 specific fruits, and I will tell you exactly how to use each one so it helps, not hurts. And the final fruit is the one most people underestimate, yet it may be the most surprising for overnight support. Stay with me because the difference between waking up drained and waking up steadier can come down to what you do in the last hour before sleep. Tomato is where we need to begin because this fruit exposes one of the biggest misunderstandings people have about kidney health at night. Many Americans believe that if they eat reasonably well, their kidneys will somehow take care of themselves. I have seen the opposite play out again and again. I remember a patient in his early 60s who ate salads almost every evening and could not understand why his creatinine kept creeping up. He felt fine, stayed active, and did everything he thought was right. What he did not realize is that aging kidneys are constantly under attack from oxidative stress, especially overnight when damaged cells either recover or slowly deteriorate. Tomatoes contain lycopene, a powerful antioxidant that targets this exact problem, but only if it is used correctly. Lycopene helps neutralize free radicals that inflame the glomeruli and strain the nephrons, the tiny filters inside your kidneys that decide how clean your blood really is. A large clinical study following over 1,000 adults with early kidney decline showed that those who consumed about half an ounce of lycopene daily from cooked tomatoes experienced a meaningful reduction in creatinine over several months, while kidney filtration markers improved compared to those eating a standard diet. What matters here is preparation. Raw tomatoes pass through the body with very little lycopene absorption, which means many people are doing the right thing in the wrong way. When tomatoes are gently cooked and paired with a small amount of healthy oil, lycopene becomes far more available to your body, sometimes several times more absorbable than when eaten raw. This is especially important in the evening because nighttime is when kidney cells attempt to repair oxidative damage accumulated during the day. A warm cooked tomato dish with a small drizzle of olive oil about 2 hours before sleep can support this natural recovery window instead of sabotaging it. But here is where most people go wrong. They assume antioxidants alone are enough. They focus on protection, not repair. Tomatoes help calm damage, but calming damage is only the first step. Because once inflammation is under control, the kidneys still need the right nutrients to rebuild what has already been weakened. And that is where the next fruit becomes critical, because it does something tomatoes cannot do on their own, and missing it may be the reason recovery stalls even when inflammation improves. Once oxidative stress is calmed, the kidneys face a different challenge repairing tissue that has been quietly weakened over time, and this is where mango enters the picture. I often think about a woman I spoke with in her late 50s who did everything she was told after a borderline creatinine result. She cut back on heavy meals, drank more water, and even added more fruits to her diet, yet her labs barely moved. The missing piece was not effort, it was precision. Aging kidney tissue becomes fragile, and without the right nutrients at the right time, repair simply does not happen efficiently. Mango is rich in vitamin C, but its real value at night goes beyond the idea of immunity. Vitamin C supports collagen renewal inside tiny kidney blood vessels and helps boost glutathione, one of the body's most important internal antioxidants, for cellular repair. In controlled nutrition studies involving older adults with mildly elevated creatinine participants who consumed roughly 7 ounces of fresh mango, providing about 200 milligrams of vitamin C, daily saw average creatinine reductions close to 10% over 6 weeks compared to those who made no dietary change. What made the difference was not just the fruit, but how and when it was eaten. Overripe mango loaded with excess sugar can actually stress the kidneys and liver, especially in the evening. Slightly firm mango eaten in a modest portion about 1 hour after dinner allows vitamin C to support repair without spiking blood sugar. This timing matters because nighttime circulation slows and nutrients delivered during this window are used for maintenance rather than storage. I have seen patients surprised by how such a small adjustment changed morning lab trends over time. But mango also teaches an important lesson. More is not better. Large portions late at night can work against you, while controlled intake works with your biology. And if blood sugar is a concern, pairing mango with a small amount of healthy fat can slow absorption and reduce stress on filtration. This balance between repair and restraint is exactly what aging kidneys need. Yet even when tissue repair improves, another problem often remains hidden. Inflammation caused by protein waste and circulation bottlenecks can still limit filtration efficiency. Vitamin C helps rebuild, but it does not actively break down inflammatory debris. And that brings us to a fruit most people think of as dessert, not therapy, because the next one works through an entirely different pathway that mango simply cannot replace, and missing it may be why filtration still feels sluggish even when repair is underway. After repair begins and vitamin support is in place, many people assume their kidneys should automatically filter better, yet this is where progress often stalls, and pineapple explains why. I remember a retired engineer in his mid-60s who did everything carefully. He adjusted his meals, added mango in the evening, and watched his numbers improve slightly then plateau. His frustration was real because he felt he was doing enough. What he did not realize is that kidney filtration is not only about repair, it is also about clearing inflammatory debris that clogs the system. Even healthy kidneys can struggle when low-grade inflammation builds up around the glomeruli, slowing the flow of blood and waste removal overnight. Pineapple contains bromelain, a natural enzyme with a very specific role that most people overlook. Bromelain helps break down inflammatory proteins and fibrin, like compounds that can thicken blood and reduce microcirculation in the kidneys. This matters at night because filtration efficiency depends heavily on how freely blood can move through tiny renal vessels while the body's at rest. In clinical observations and nutrition trials involving adults with early kidney stress, those who consumed roughly 5 to 6 ounces of fresh pineapple in the evening showed measurable improvements in markers linked to inflammation and filtration over 8 weeks. In one controlled study, participants experienced reductions in C-reactive protein alongside modest but consistent improvements in estimated filtration rate, suggesting that bromelain was helping remove obstacles rather than simply masking symptoms. Timing again played a crucial role. Pineapple eaten earlier in the day helped digestion, but pineapple eaten in the evening appeared to support overnight cleanup when inflammatory waste is more likely to linger. Preparation also matters. Fresh pineapple delivers active bromelain, while canned or heavily processed versions lose much of this enzymatic effect and often add unnecessary sugar that works against kidney health. I often explain this to patients using a simple comparison. Repair nutrients rebuild the house, but enzymes clear the debris blocking the hallways. Without clearing those pathways, even a repaired structure cannot function smoothly. Pineapple does that clearing work quietly while you sleep. Yet moderation is essential. Large portions can irritate sensitive stomachs or raise blood sugar, so a controlled serving paired with a balanced dinner works best. When used correctly, pineapple supports a cleaner filtration environment rather than forcing the kidneys to work harder. But here is the critical transition. Even when inflammation is reduced and pathways are clearer, filtration can still falter if electrolyte balance is off. Clearing debris is powerful, but balance determines stability. And that brings us to the next fruit, because without addressing this missing balance, the gains from pineapple may never fully translate into steady creatinine control overnight. After inflammation is reduced and filtration pathways are clearer, the next obstacle many kidneys face is instability, And this is where kiwi quietly becomes one of the most misunderstood fruits at night. I often hear people say they avoid kiwi because they worry about potassium, and that fear alone causes many to miss its real benefit. I think of a man in his early 70s who stopped eating most fruits entirely after reading online warnings. His creatinine slowly climbed not because of excess potassium, but because his electrolyte balance was off, causing his kidneys to struggle with fluid regulation overnight. What many people do not realize is that potassium is not automatically the enemy. In controlled amounts, natural potassium is essential for stabilizing blood flow, nerve signaling, and the pressure gradients that allow kidneys to filter efficiently. Kiwi provides potassium in a balanced form, along with vitamin C and fiber that supports electrolyte harmony rather than overwhelming the system. Scientific observations in older adults with mild kidney impairment show that modest potassium intake from whole fruits improves urine output consistency and reduces nighttime fluid retention, both of which are linked to better creatinine clearance. In one nutrition study, participants who consumed one medium kiwi in the evening experienced improved overnight electrolyte balance and more stable morning creatinine values compared to those who avoided potassium altogether. The reason is simple. When potassium is too low, blood vessels constrict, circulation becomes uneven, and kidneys are forced to work harder to maintain balance. Kiwi helps prevent that silent stress. Timing again matters. Eating kiwi too late or in large quantities can be counterproductive, but one peeled kiwi about 90 minutes before sleep allows minerals to support stability without burdening filtration. Fiber in kiwi also slows absorption, preventing sudden shifts that can stress sensitive kidneys. I often explain this to patients with a simple comparison. Repair fixes the structure, enzymes clear the pathways, but electrolytes keep the system running smoothly without sudden pressure spikes. Kiwi plays that stabilizing role overnight. People are often surprised that avoiding potassium completely can actually worsen kidney strain, especially in seniors who already experience reduced circulation. Balance, not elimination, is what aging kidneys need. But even when filtration is stable and electrolytes are balanced, another limitation often remains hidden. Blood flow itself can still be restricted, preventing kidneys from receiving the oxygen and nutrients they need during sleep. Stability is essential, but circulation determines how much healing can truly happen. And that leads directly to the next fruit, because without addressing nighttime blood flow, all previous improvements may never reach their full potential. Once stability is restored and electrolytes are no longer working against the kidneys, the next limiting factor becomes circulation, and this is where avocado plays a role most people never associate with nighttime kidney health. I think of a former construction supervisor in his late 60s who did everything right on paper. He reduced sodium-balanced potassium and improved inflammation markers, yet his creatinine stayed stubbornly high. He slept poorly, woke up with heavy legs, and often felt pressure rather than pain. What he was experiencing was reduced nighttime blood flow to the kidneys, a problem that quietly worsens with age and often goes unnoticed. As we get older, magnesium levels naturally decline, causing blood vessels to stiffen and narrow, especially during rest. When renal blood flow drops at night, the kidneys receive less oxygen and fewer nutrients, limiting how well they can filter and repair. Avocado is one of the richest natural sources of magnesium in a whole food form that the body recognizes and uses efficiently. Magnesium helps relax blood vessels, reduce vascular resistance, and improve microcirculation inside the kidneys, exactly when the body is meant to recover. In clinical nutrition research involving older adults with metabolic and kidney stress, moderate magnesium intake was associated with improved renal blood flow and more stable creatinine levels over time. One observational study found that participants consuming magnesium-rich foods in the evening showed better overnight blood pressure control and improved morning filtration markers compared to those with low intake. What makes avocado unique is how gently it delivers this effect. Half of a medium avocado provides a meaningful amount of magnesium, along with healthy fats that slow digestion and prevent sudden metabolic shifts. When eaten about 2 hours before sleep, avocado supports circulation without spiking blood sugar or burdening filtration. I often describe this stage of kidney care as turning the lights back on in a repair shop. You can fix structures, clear debris, and balance systems, but without enough blood flow, nothing works at full capacity. Avocado helps restore that flow during the hours when kidneys depend on it most. Portion control matters here as well. Large servings late at night can feel heavy and counterproductive, while a controlled amount works quietly in the background. Many patients are surprised to notice warmer hands, calmer legs, and improved sleep after making this adjustment, subtle signs that circulation is improving. But there is one final layer that ties everything together. Even with better blood flow, kidneys still face oxidative stress during detoxification overnight. Circulation delivers nutrients, but protection during cleanup is just as critical. And that is why the final fruit matters more than most people expect, because it works at the exact moment toxins are being processed, and missing it could mean leaving the job half finished. After circulation improves and nutrients finally reach the kidneys, during sleep, there is one last vulnerability that often determines whether all that progress holds or quietly slips away, and this is where strawberries become far more important than most people realize. I think of a woman in her early 70s who followed every recommendation carefully. Her blood flow improved, her electrolytes stabilized, and her sleep deepened, yet her creatinine fluctuated unpredictably. The missing issue was not circulation or minerals anymore. It was oxidative stress during detox itself. At night, when kidneys filter waste and toxins more actively, they also produce reactive byproducts that can inflame tissue if not neutralized. This is the final bottleneck many people never address. Strawberries are rich in anthocyanins, powerful antioxidants that specifically target inflammation triggered during detoxification. These compounds help protect kidney cells from oxidative damage at the exact moment toxins are being processed and removed. In nutrition studies involving older adults with early kidney stress, higher anthocyanin intake was linked to reduced inflammatory markers and more stable creatinine trends over time. One long-term observational study found that participants who regularly consumed anthocyanin-rich fruits showed up to a 15% lower risk of kidney function decline compared to those with low intake. What makes strawberries unique at night is their combination of antioxidants, hydration, and low glycemic load. Unlike many sweet fruits, strawberries deliver protection without stressing blood sugar or increasing acid load, which is critical during sleep. A small bowl of fresh strawberries about 1 hour before bed supports detox without forcing the kidneys to compensate. I often explain this phase as the cleanup crew after a long day of work. You can repair structures, clear pathways, balance systems, and restore flow, but without protection during waste removal, damage can still accumulate quietly. Strawberries provide that protective shield. Preparation matters here too. Fresh or lightly rinsed strawberries retain their anthocyanins, while processed versions lose much of this benefit and often add sugars that work against filtration. Portion size remains important. A moderate serving supports detox, while excess can become unnecessary. Many people notice subtle changes: first lighter mornings, less stiffness, clearer energy, signs that overnight inflammation is finally calming. What makes strawberries so powerful is that they complete the process rather than starting it. They protect while everything else is working. And this brings us to a critical realization. Knowing each fruit in isolation is helpful, but the real power comes from understanding how they work together across the night. Because using just one without the others leaves gaps, and filling those gaps may be what separates gradual decline from steady recovery. Before we close, I want you to hear this clearly and calmly. If you have been worried about your kidneys, about creatinine numbers, or about what the future might look like, you are not alone and you are not out of options. What we covered today is not about perfection or drastic change. It is about understanding your body and giving it the right support at the right time. Small evening choices repeated consistently can shift the direction of kidney health more than most people realize. You do not need fear to take care of yourself. You need clarity, patience, and the confidence that your actions still matter. If this information helped you see your health differently, I encourage you to save this video so you can come back to it when you need a reminder. And if kidney health matters to you or someone you love, subscribe to this channel so you do not miss future videos where we break down medical science into practical steps you can actually use. I share new evidence-based guidance regularly, always focused on protecting kidney function, managing creatinine, and supporting long-term health in a way that feels realistic, not overwhelming. By subscribing, you are choosing to stay informed, not alarmed, and empowered instead of confused. Remember this, kidneys decline silently, but they also respond quietly when you start treating them with intention. Improvement often happens gradually, then suddenly you notice you feel steadier, lighter, more rested in the morning. That is not luck. That is biology responding to care. You still have influence over how your kidneys age, especially at night when repair is possible. Stay consistent, stay curious, and stay hopeful. And as always, take care of yourself because your health journey does not end here. It begins with the choices you make tonight and the knowledge you choose to keep learning tomorrow.